Howdy everyone, this is Game Menu brought to you by Coop. I am Sif, aka Sammy, and joining me a measly 60 miles away from the beautiful lighthouse in Maine, we have Nick, aka Ling for Prez, but I will just call him Nick. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing good today. How you doing, Sammy?
Doing pretty good. So today we're going to obviously be talking Bioshock Infinite, a game that we both mutually agree is fantastic. And as we go through, just thing to remember is we are going to be littering the thing with spoilers. Make sure in the notes we're going to put in the description of the podcast what time everything ends. So we'll make sure that you guys don't get too much spoiled. If you haven't played Bioshock Infinite, for the first half of it, first 30-ish minutes, we go through a game. And this week it's going to be Bioshock Infinite. We kind of talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and just kind of give the whole pitch to it. The next 30 minutes is a little bit more of just a cornucopia of random little segments Nick and I have thrown together. Some are funny, others are idiotic, and some are funny and idiotic. So it should work out great. But without further ado, we're going to just dive right into Bioshock Infinite, published by 2K Games, developed by the now closed down Irrational with director Ken Levine. It came out in March 26, 2013. I consider it one of my favorite games of all time. On my cool little game list, you and I both, Nick, have little game spreadsheets where we rate every single thing we did. I gave it a 10. What about you?
I gave it, so on my spreadsheet, I'm a lot more picky with my rankings than
Sure.
you, as I've
That's true.
discussed with you before. Bioshock Infinite came in at a 9.5 for me.
Still.
However, of all time, there's only four other games I've ever given a higher rating to. So that says kind of a lot about my feelings about the game.
Right.
Yeah. It's the highest ranked game I have on the Xbox 360. And it's, I think, probably tied for favorite. I've got another one ranked at the same high. We can talk about that later, but that's beyond the point. But yeah, pretty phenomenal game. And I'm excited to chat about the details of it with you, Sammy.
Cool. So we kind of have a few little questions we're going to bounce off back and forth of each other. But first off, we'll start off with the easy thing, what we really loved about the game. And I'll go on my little kind of 5-minute rant, and then whatever you want to bounce in, just do your thing.
Yep.
What I love about the game is the world building is phenomenal. And that's what everyone kind of really likes about it. In the same, I mean, Bioshock 1 and 2 kind of did the same thing, obviously. But the world building of Columbia and kind of everyone, this is such an easy comparison to make, but that very like 1984, like Big Brother is watching type thing is still always kind of omnipresent at some point. I love that about it because the minute you get off, you get to the lighthouse, you're kind of wondering, well, I have no idea what this is going to be, what it's going to end up yielding. And that's what makes a game just exciting for me in general. And not just games. I mean, movies, TV shows, anything I watch, any media I consume, I normally feel the same way about it.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Like when you first play the game, you're thinking it's kind of, it's obviously a very cartoony graphic style.
Right.
But for some reason, when you're playing it, you feel like it's just got this high tech, really phenomenal graphic screen, this environment that really captures you, an incredible color palette that you don't even feel like it's a game, even though it's super cartoony. You're just really enraptured and like captured into the world, and you feel like you're totally a part of it. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's one of my actually favorite scene in the entire game, and one of my favorite songs. And I mean, I'll get into the music a little bit later, but it's whenever you're first in the lighthouse and you're getting shot up into Columbia, and you break through the clouds and you can see all of Columbia. And just like you were saying, kind of the light design on it, when the light shines through the clouds and you can kind of see the sun rising over basically this giant flying city, and it's just beautiful. And from then on, the game just gets prettier and prettier in its own accord.
Right, definitely. And when you're talking about the song, I think I actually just made this connection. You're talking about the song when you're in the little capsule and you're flying through, and it's kind of got that underlying piano tone.
Yeah,
I think that's the same song as at the very end.
Yes, it is.
A different melody, right?
It's the
or not different melody, different tone.
But yeah,
different.
It's actually a little bit of by and by, so you really can distinctly hear by and by. But yeah, the very first part, whenever it's going wild with that fiddle, is actually the same as the end song. Which, there's a whole lot of cool little symbolism and stuff like that throughout the game. And another thing that makes me love it, and I'm sure that makes you love it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
another thing I really like, and I already alluded to it, is the soundtrack is awesome. Both the licensed and unlicensed soundtrack. Um, Everything that's written specifically for the game is really good, but all the licensed songs in that game are incredible. God Only Knows is really good in there.
Mm.
God Only Knows whenever your barbershop quartet pops up, and that's kind of one of those parts that you know something weird is going on. You
Yep.
know that it's just a little bit of an eerie feel to it. And obviously, By and By is easily the best song and what kind of envelops the game. And they talk about will a circle be unbroken, and what they're kind of alluding to, in my opinion, is kind of that circle of violence in the Booker family.
Right, and I to go along your point where you're saying that those licensed songs that was Albert Fink, right? He was the one who pulled
Right,
them
right,
through
yeah, yeah, yeah.
from different worlds. What's so cool about all those different songs is, like you said, every time you hear one, it fits the mood of where you're at. So, like you're
Right, yeah,
saying at the
yeah.
very beginning, the God Only Knows, the way it's sung, the barbershop quartet, you have this like mystery kind of feel of what the heck's going on
Hmm.
here. Especially since you have no idea what's going on at the beginning. You're like, wait, how was that song in 1912? And then later in the game, when they're playing the "It Ain't Me," right before you're about to go into this revolutionary war zone, it just really sets the
Yeah.
mood of like what this is like. I'm ready to get in here, get my hands dirty. Like something crazy is going on in this world. There's a bloodbath of revolution in the streets. It just really all fits the mood, and it's just a pretty cool thing how they were able to bring all that together.
Right. I'm all in on you calling Creedence Clearwater Revival's song "Fortunate Son." You titled it "It Ain't Me."
I knew that I was gonna mess that up there. I just knew that the girl starts going, "It ain't me."
Me, it ain't. Just as long as it was part of the chorus, it's basically the name of the song.
Well, isn't that how they name songs anyway?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Panic at the Disco.
um, yeah, and what's cool is I like that they explain why the songs are there.
Hmm.
In the case of licensed music in any game, it's just kind of like, oh, this song's really cool. We're just gonna throw it in there. It fits the mood. Perfect examples like "Ain't No Rest for the Wicked" in Borderlands. And this, there is
Yeah.
actually an in-game logical explanation, which is a layer they really necessarily didn't have to do, but they did
Right.
it, and it just adds even more to your mood, and like I said, even more to that world building.
Right. It makes you feel like really immersed in the world because it's things like that
Right,
that make you notice that everything was put in this world for a reason. And
right.
that's why you care about every little detail, and you listen to every voxophone, you listen to every saying that a citizen in the street says, and you read every sign that you can read because you know everything kind of has something to do with something. And that kind of brings me to my point of why I love the game. I know you've got more, so sorry to
No,
step
go
on
for it.
your
No, go for
step
it.
on
Go
your
for it.
toes,
No, you're good.
but my favorite thing about the game is, so I don't know about you, the first time I played through, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I knew what was going on. I had absolutely no idea what the heck happened.
No,
I just
no.
knew all of a sudden I was dead, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And it wasn't until I, read the wiki, watched a playthrough of someone playing it, and played through it again, and watched the Sea of Doors again, that I actually knew what was happening. But going back to my point about every detail is that's what's so cool about the game is how complex and how intertwined everything is. Everything is told to you throughout the game. Every
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
every single secret and every single twist is told to you from the very beginning throughout. If you just knew what to look for, you'd be able to put things together. And a lot of times people will see an ending of a game or a movie or a book or something, and they'll still have a lot of questions, or they'll still
Hmm.
find loopholes. They'll be like, that was never really answered. They just kind of made it up at the end. But
Right.
this is one of those few games and this few stories where everything that needs to be answered is answered somewhere. You just had to know where to look, and you had to understand what they were saying at the time. And I think that's just what's so fascinating. It's every time you play through, because you're paying that much attention to everything, since that's how they developed the game, is for you to pay attention to their detail.
Hmm.
You find something new every time that you didn't know.
And that, I think it's funny because for such a honestly like viciously linear game, and in a day that's you have the market just saturated by open world after open world,
Mhm.
sandbox after sandbox, you can do whatever you want to. In a really linear game, the replayability, in my opinion, is actually really high. I
Yeah.
feel like I go through every single time and I explore every single nook and cranny. And I mean, my most recent playthrough, which is probably about probably 4 weeks ago, I would still notice little details. Like I remember looking at a statue of one of the Lutesses, and it's the female Lutess. And then whenever you look up to it, it kind of shades over a little bit and shows the male loot test and then shades back to the female. Something I'd never seen in any of my playthroughs. Of course, at that point, I completely get it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love exactly what you said, that if you really were seeking out every single bit of the story, you could find what was happening. And
Right.
I'm the
On your
exact
first
same way.
playthrough,
Yeah, yeah,
nonetheless.
sure. Oh
That's my
yeah.
point.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And like I feel the exact same way during my first playthrough. I watched it and I went, I think I get an idea of what happened, but I just wanted to learn so much more. There was still a lot of there's still a lot of issues I had with why did this character want this? What was the motivation behind this? And instead of going and immediately looking it up, I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and just play it again and see what pops up. And that's how I really learned even more about it, and what made me fall in love with it even more. Even more, I would say my second playthrough, I almost like better than my first playthrough.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that. Just because, like you said, you knew a little more what was going on, and I
But you
think
still
that's
didn't know it all.
right.
You still were kind of like, I don't know what's going on, but I know kind of how this ends, but I know what they'll be
Yeah,
looking for.
and I think that's how you know you've played a good game is when you finish the game and you're left wanting to know more about the game.
Right.
And I think that's what they did a fantastic job of doing is they left you saying not only what exactly happened, but I know that it's all there and I need to go find it now. It's just very very neat how they did all that.
Right.
I love it.
Right. And I like all the characters. I think Booker does his job as being obviously the narrative point that you're moving with, but his personality isn't overbearing to you, but at the same time, certain games you want to feel like you're in the shoes of your protagonist. With Booker, that's not the case. You can't really. I can relate to Booker in no way whatsoever, but you still kind of feel his pain and you can relate to him, even though everything about him isn't relatable. If that makes sense, you can kind of relate to like, oh man, this would really suck if I went through it. But you're never going to go through being a Pinkerton having to beat up people on the streets for money.
Well, that's kind of
Uh,
interesting that you say that though, because I read somewhere that you never actually see Booker's face in the game. I think it's this
You
game.
see it once. You see it once, and that's whenever you look. If you
Oh, that's right. You
walk
look in the
right,
basin.
yeah, you look into the basin right when you walk in. Besides that, I don't think you ever see it.
Well, so anyway, then to that point is what I was reading was saying that that was done purposely to make you feel more like you were the character.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting to say that, or to hear you say that you think that you connected with him, but not really, because that seems
Right.
like something they tried to actively do.
Right. Yeah. It's more of a good example I can honestly think of is like in Mass Effect when you're playing as Commander Shepard, you kind of have this head canon where like, oh, this is my Shepard and this is what my Shepard would do.
Sure.
And to be honest, Shepard isn't like the most charismatic character, where I feel like Booker is a little bit more so. So you kind of can make your decisions and make him as annoying or as cool or whatever, as badass as you want him to be. Whereas Booker is a little bit more linear, but you still obviously sympathize with the character, even though he's going through something you have no inkling of semblance you have ever gone through in your life.
Right. That's
Um,
fair.
and I'm thinking of, I mean, I know this is one thing we kind of disagree on. I really, really like the gameplay in it, as compared to the other Bioshocks, especially because that's the easiest one for one comparison. I think the gameplay is just a little bit more crisp. The salts that you have to use aren't nearly as imperative as compared to Bioshock 1, but I think that's actually a good thing. I think if you want to play all guns blazing and maybe every now and then use like an undertow or something like that, you can. It's a little bit more. It kind of molds to your play style. There aren't as many, I guess, salt puzzles, if that makes sense. Puzzles that you have to solve using your salts or your eves, as in the case of Bioshock One.
Yeah.
But I like the gameplay is really fun. It's really crisp. 1999 mode is rewardingly challenging. And I've never beaten it before. I've gotten really far in it, and it's very comparative to Halo Legendary, to where you gotta knock out one mission and then sit down for like probably 2 weeks and then go and knock out another one because you have a bunch of
Wow.
bullet sponges running around. But I really, really like it.
See, going to gameplay, I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I
Right,
think
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
my
yeah.
one criticism of it, and I think it kind of is just a different way of viewing it. Is I didn't like how I didn't think the gun mechanics were done well enough in Infinite that they could take away the necessity of the vigors. Does that make
Sure.
sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought in 1 and 2 the vigors work so well in combinations with the guns that it was just fantastic combat. Whereas I
Mhm.
felt with Infinite, you were more reliant on your guns, and I didn't feel like they were done as well. And I think part of that's also my fault in a bad just first impression, because I think the first time I played, if I'm remembering correctly, I had it on some default controller configuration that made aiming down your sights R3, and it toggled, and it was just really
Really
weird, and I
weird.
hated everything
Yeah.
about it. So my other playthroughs, I've configured it now where it's left trigger is aim down the sights, but my first playthrough just has jaded me so much that I just think of combat as like a drag to get through sometimes,
Right.
especially with the amount of enemies that come at you
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah. And speaking of things we didn't like, I mean, that's obviously one of yours. My thing that I have written down is the storyline is really good. It's a little convoluted sometimes where you'll ask yourself a question about the game. A perfect example is you haven't played Burial at Sea, but whenever Burial at Sea happens, Elizabeth is obviously alive. And a lot of people are like,
Yes.
why is she alive? Why is all this? And it is explained, but a lot of time it's just chalked up to like, it's a video game. And you go, okay, I get it. But for a game that's so crisp on the delivery for 95% of it, the
Hmm.
last 5%, every now and then you get a bunch of questions where you're thinking, okay, well, what could be wrong with this? What could be wrong with that? It kind of reminds me of like in Interstellar.
Hmm.
Have you seen Interstellar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, in Interstellar, whenever they get to the black hole and they're kind of like, well, you know what? No
yeah.
one knows what happens in a black
They
hole,
gave the
so
sci-fi answer.
yeah, they're
We
like
can
it
make it
just
up.
yeah, it's like it just takes you back in time, and everyone's like, okay, I guess that solves the
Yeah.
problem. And so that is the same issue. I mean, kind of with Bioshock, where they got then they're saying, okay, well, no one has the ability to jump realities, so
Yeah,
let's
but
just
see,
go ahead and make this one roll.
and that's kind of the reason why I've never played Burial at Sea, and I don't know if I really want to, is because
Right.
everything I've read has said, yeah, it's considered canon, but like I personally don't consider it. So to me, it just
Sure.
would seem like if the thing I loved about Bioshock Infinite was the story and how, and like I said, the world, the story, all the things that
Hmm.
captured you and brought you into it. Um, if I was playing Burial at Sea, I'd be ignoring all that personally and feel like I'd only be playing it for the combat and for the completion's sake of it.
Yeah.
I just don't think I would enjoy it then. It might give me a bad taste if I were to do that.
I don't think it would necessarily give you a bad taste, but yeah, it's not gonna really like enhance your experience that much, honestly. I mean, I liked it. It was fun to play through, and I feel like it was put there just for the sole reason of connecting one and two with Infinite, just for the heck of it, because there were a lot of people who were confused that these games weren't necessarily really solid connected. If you go through Barrel at Sea, then it makes them very very closely knit and very connected, which satisfies some people, and it's some people they just prefer to have them both in their own worlds.
Sure. So I want to ask you a question then, since we're
Okay.
still kind of on the combat type
Hmm.
thing. Uh, and this is kind of just a silly question, not really a silly question, but it's a light question. What was your favorite vigor combo?
I would probably get Undertow, bring everyone in, and then do shock jockey on them.
Okay.
Because that was when it was, or if sometimes I was always going in on Undertow. So if I would
Hmm.
walk up to someone and I could just walk over, push them off the edge, and I'm good to go. And I really like Undertow because you can't see people, but if you just hold it, it just connects to like four dudes, and you just yank them in, shock jockey them, and you're set.
See,
Which I really liked about it.
I have to give you credit for that because I never used Undertow, and I still don't really ever use it.
Hmm.
I my combos was usually always um, Buck and Bronco, and then throw that shock jockey at them while they're all
Ooh,
flying in the air.
I really like Buck and Bronco before I get because Undertow's so late in the game. I think I did Buck and Bronco all the way up until
Really.
then, obviously, up until I got Undertow, and then of course I start using it.
See, that's where I'm giving you the credit. Is I struggled my first playthrough so much with that last level where you have to destroy the zip lines with the songbird,
Hmm.
and it just annoyed me to no end how many times I had to do that mission.
Yeah.
And I finally beat it, yada yada yada. And then my next playthrough, I'd talk to you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I used Undertow and just bonk him off the
Hmm.
edge." I did that, and I flew through it in like
And
five
yeah,
seconds. Like this is
it
ridiculous
makes it
how
super
easy this is
easy.
now.
It
So it's
makes
one of my
that
favorites, but I only use it then. That's the only
right.
time I ever use it.
It's so easy. Like that last probably like before obviously Sea of Doors, probably the last 30-ish minutes of the game when everything takes place in very like open sky it's a breeze. It's phenomenal. You just sit there and just bonk everyone off because you'll have like ships approaching you from the side, and
Yep.
you just shoot it and bonk like four dudes off, and you just move on to the next one, and you're good to go.
Yep. Yeah. It was literally life changing. But also, and I know this isn't Bioshock Infinite, but my favorite vigor or salt, whatever you want to call it, throughout the eve of the whole series, and I'm mad they didn't put it in Infinite, was the ice one because that
Ooh, the
thing
ice
made
one's
everything
yep,
so easy.
yep. I'm trying to think what I'm trying to think when the last time I played one was. I haven't played one in a long time, so I can barely remember. I always just remember controlling security bots and making them shoot people, and that was really the or controlling big daddies and making them attack people. I
I've
think I
only
use
actually
that
played
all the
one
time.
time.
I think started it recently, and then I decided to play Infinite instead.
That's fair.
In which everyone really, from what I've gathered, for most people prefer one to Infinite.
Really?
But I'm just the other. I don't know what it is about it. I like the setting of Columbia so much more. I prefer the sky to the ocean. Um,
Yeah, I
I
didn't like the Rapture setting mainly because since it is underwater, well, that's a cool premise.
yeah,
You're inside, not experiencing that environment.
right. You feel really like you feel a little bit claustrophobic. At
You just feel like
least
you're on a cruise ship or something the whole time.
right.
You don't
Yeah,
really feel like you're in
yeah.
an
Exactly.
underwater city.
I know. I agree. I have a question I wrote down. I already have my answer ready.
Okay.
But what element? Because we both agree it's an incredibly good game, 9.5 and 10. What element of it should every single game use, or not every single game, but should games now use for inspiration? Or
Oh
basically,
God.
they would look at Infinite and go, okay, well, this would be really nice if we could put this in this game.
Oh man. Um, I think it's kind of what we first talked about the the color palette and the environment because
Mm-hmm.
it's something you can't look away from when it
Right.
first comes up. I remember the first time I saw it played was actually when Keenan played it. One of our friends, Keenan.
Yeah.
Um, he played it, and I was just sitting there watching him play that opening scene at the lighthouse where you're flying in space. I was like, "What the heck is going on?" It was just so bizarre and so beautiful to look at that I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I need to know more." And obviously, it wasn't until a little while longer that I actually played it. But the reason I was like, I'm going to buy it and play it was because of what I've seen of it. And I was kind of thinking about this when I was describing the graphics earlier. Is you know what it kind of reminds me of, that just kind of the human texture style that they do. Kind of reminds me of the Overwatch graphics, which
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone applauds and like gives rave reviews for. And I think that's one of the reasons people love Overwatch as well. Is you just turn the game on and you're just look at it and you're like, whoa, that just looks so
Really
cool. It's like
pretty.
nothing
Yeah.
I've ever seen before. It's cartoony, but it looks like this brand new style of art that I've never seen. So
Sure.
I every game I've ever played with this style of art has really drawn me in, and we've done the same thing. We saw just like the trailer for We Happy Few, and we both lost our minds,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it was the exact same style of art. So I think that's just one way to start is really focus on world generation.
I agree a lot with what you say about like that art style because I think one of the coolest things, and it was did really well for the shock value, is you go through the first probably 25 minutes of the game. Obviously, you know something weird's going to happen, but it gives off this kind of this attitude that everyone here is really happy go lucky. All the color palettes are really, really bright, really pretty. You have really bright reds and really lush greens everywhere. And so then you get to the scene with the lottery and the baseball. And
Mm-hmm.
so you obviously throw the baseball, and then it goes from 0 to 60 so quick. And it's the shock value from that type of art style where you grab the dude's head, throw him on the
Yep.
hook, and you're like, oh, whoa, okay, wow. And the
Yeah.
reds are just as beautiful. They are just a different type of red. But I agree, it's awesome. It's really, really cool. And you'll notice as the game moves on, as you go through more and more adventures and the mood changes more and more, the overlying kind of color palette obviously changes. Like the Vox Populi, like they're immediately
Yeah.
associated with that bright, bright red.
Yep.
And same with obviously Comstock's men are all associated with that kind of navy blue. And it's really simple colors, but that's kind of how it's always been. Everyone associates opposites as red and blue, and it works out
Sure.
perfectly.
Yeah. So was that your favorite thing about the game too? That you're, or sorry, not your favorite thing, your thing
Element
that
that would
you,
change.
yeah.
Well, my big thing, and we already alluded to it, so I won't hamper on it too much, but was for games not to be scared of doing. Like, I mean, the best way to describe it is that viciously linear games. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
in Infinite they have these pseudo side quests. They act like they're side quests, but they're not. You just kind of go and pick something up and then take it somewhere else. And it's
Yeah.
really kind of a fetch quest to get just a power up or like a new gun or a Vox phone.
Yeah. I
But
think that's one of the first things I ever told you. When my first playthrough, I was texting you and telling you about like my feel, and I said one of the things I really like about it is it's a linear game, but I feel like I'm playing an open world game.
sure, yeah, because you
Like
go
like
back to the same spots and stuff every now and
right.
then.
I'm never stressed about the world being too big, but I also feel like I can go wherever the heck I want.
Right. I was never overwhelmed, but I was never underwhelmed at the same time. I never
Correct.
looked and thought, "Oh man, I got to go run over to that city and do that quest." But at the same time, I'm not like, "Oh, I'm just walking straight in a straight line the entire way." Everything had a really good fluidity to it, to where I know, okay, the perfect is getting like Chenlin's guns. You still go through the same environments, but because
Hmm.
of the premise of the game, they can completely change everything, even though you're going through the same room 4 times.
Right.
Um, and that's all I have written down. Everything else we kind of covered about it. Um, but once again, I mean, for Bioshock Infinite, it's 10 out of 10 for me. It's probably ranked in my top 10, 15 best games of all time. It was a really good kind of cherry on top of that Bioshock franchise. And obviously, there's more coming out from Ken Levine. He's currently working on a new IP, but Irrational is closed down, so we're not going to see any more Bioshock. But hopefully, with Kenneth, the director of this new game that he is coming out, um, we'll see if maybe it has the potential to be kind of more Bioshock esque, or if he's going in a different direction. There's a whole lot that's going to go into it, but I'm still feeling good about it, and I'd love to have that little Bioshock itch scratched.
Yeah. I just have two more things I wanted to say about the game
Yeah,
before we wrap it up. And they were just things that I noticed about it on my last playthrough, and they're kind of stupid. Well, one of them's really stupid. The other one is kind of interesting. And I'll say the interesting one first. And I learned this one actually not through my last playthrough, but through a video I watched. When you get the possession vigor at the very beginning of the game, and you kind of hear like whispering sounds that are playing in your head while you're taking your drink,
yeah,
it's actually a quote from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet backwards, which is kind of interesting.
really.
Yeah, they're playing.
How'd you find that out?
I was just watching one of those stupid YouTube videos of like 10
There you
things you didn't know
go.
about Bioshock Infinite, and then they like showed you they did it backwards and you could hear it. Um,
Hmm.
the other one that's kind of this is the stupid one is when you're I don't remember exactly what part of the game it's at, but you're walking through a building and Comstock Zeppelin is like talking to you, and all the bad guys kneel and like you just kind of walk past them. I found out if you kill them, they don't do anything.
Yeah, they just take it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I thought the first time I played through, I was like, they can't see me, is what I thought. I thought I was like
It's because their heads are buried so quick, so far in their knees.
yeah, I thought that I was being stealthy, and the next time I went through, I like punched one of them with my hook, thinking like, oh god, I'm gonna have to fight them all. And the next thing I know, I was like, oh, this is easy pickings.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice for our Lord and Savior Comstock, our great prophet.
Wow. But
Wow.
yeah, anyway, that's all I had about I hit all my notes.
Cool. Each week we're going to be doing a different game. It's typically we're thinking we're going to try games we both like, but depending on what's recently come out, if a game comes out, we both play it. We'll probably talk about it if we want to keep it a little bit more current. But now we're going to move on to just our 30 minutes, just segments and stuff. Nick and I'm going to say more of Nick, has been assembling a plethora of just beautiful random little segments he's been wanting to do. So we're gonna start knocking them out. Nick, I want you to introduce the first one.
Which one do you want me to do first? Does it matter?
It is whatever one you please.
Okay, I'm just gonna go through in the order that I haven't written in my notepad, even though my notepad's not written in sequential order of when I wrote them down.
You know what? That's okay.
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 First thing, just to talk about, this is just some news things. You got Overwatch season 4 is about to end, and we're about to have the anniversary
Yep.
of Overwatch. It's actually we're filming this on May 22nd.
So it'll be
So
tomorrow.
tomorrow will be the pre-order anniversary. It didn't go. I don't think it went live till the 24th actually.
I
So
don't
it'll
think so either.
also mark 1 year of my last time to work out. So-
It's okay. That's whenever because I took like probably like a 2-year video game break, probably like at the end of college, and then Overwatch came out, and
Yep.
I've never been like more viciously yanked back into playing video games again.
Yep.
And people would be going out and doing stuff on Friday and Saturday,
I
and I'd be
remember
like,
that.
"No, we're good." And
Nick and I
then
have been play quick play.
yeah, then we would get mad at quick play, and then I started streaming.
But yeah,
It was really a dark hole. It was a quick fall off from my former glory,
yeah. So
and I love Blizzard for that.
for those that are listening, the story about the working out is I was working out really well. I worked out every day for like 3 months in a row. I was killing it. And then Overwatch came out, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna play Overwatch tonight before I work out, and I haven't worked out since. So I blame it all on Blizzard and Jeff Kaplan.
You know, I it's so funny. After I remember after I played Diablo 2 for a really long time, for like probably 4 or 5 years, and I went cold turkey and stopped playing it. And I thought really this was going to be the last time I'd ever let Blizzard control my life as it did. But unfortunately, they decided to release Overwatch because I managed to avoid the WoW train and not get completely wrecked by that.
I got
But
wow.
yeah, I've been wowed. Um, and yeah, then Overwatch came, and it's probably worse than Diablo 2 was. I can't tell yet, but I think it is. I think I'm in trouble for a long like 3 years of my life at least.
Well, we've already been in trouble for a full year. I've already played
That's true.
more Overwatch, I think, this year than I played World of Warcraft in my life.
How
But
many? I'm trying to think. I would say my Overwatch hours are probably around 400.
I think I'm up to a month if I did the math correctly the other day.
I remember when you play. I know you never played Halo 5, but it was really funny because Halo 5 they'll actually break it down. You played a
Let's
week, a
break it
day.
down. Sorry.
Not great. Not happy with that one. But they'll like break down how long you've actually been playing instead of just doing hours. And I remember when I stopped playing Halo 5, I was at like a week and 4 days, and I looked at that.
Jeez.
I looked at that stat, and I was like, you know what, that's. I think I finally hit my peak. I think I'm good. And then I just got just smacked across the face with Overwatch, which is yeah probably well over a month worth of play. So I've spent 1/12 of my 2016 to 2017 playing Overwatch,
Jesus.
as compared to sleeping and bathing and socializing. So it's just radical. That once again, thank you Activision Blizzard. You've truly set
Right.
my life back at least 2 years.
Right. But anyway, so Overwatch Season 4 is coming to an
Mm-hmm.
end, and the new event, the anniversary will be sparking a new event for Overwatch, which will
Mm-hmm.
be a lore event, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, from what I've gathered, and this is pure speculation, they haven't come out and said exactly what it's going to be about. They released 4 skins, and they released Bastion, Soldier, Pharah, and who else? Who was the fourth one? Off the top? Oh, Zarya. Um, and what it kind of looks like, and I could be wrong, but it looks like they're kind of releasing what appears to be concept art skins, which I think is really cool. The concept of
Hmm.
that, the concept art is really cool. It's the idea that oh, here's kind of how we first imagined our characters, and they're releasing them as skins. I could
Sure.
be wrong, but that's kind of what it looks like due to how everyone's kind of built up and how Bastion, especially Soldier. Soldier is the one that made me.
Yeah.
I looked at him and I thought that, and I was thinking, well, this could be quite possibly a concept art thing. But yeah, they've kept pretty tight-lipped about it. There have been no leaks as of right now, and typically those leaks pop out pretty quick. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, great. So that's something to look forward to. So next, I want to move on to actual segments. I have a couple other things that were news related, people actually probably cared about, but those aren't as fun to look at anymore. Sort of like Netflix is making the Witcher series, but no one really cares about a TV show based on the Witcher, so I'm going to move on from that. Um, the segment we thought of today, which is the Pokemon Starter Pack. So
Mm-hmm.
this has had a couple evolutions to it, but what we landed on was Sammy picks 6 video game characters, and I pick 6 video game characters, and they theoretically battle. We're not actually going to battle them. We have really no way of measuring that, but we just really want to. We each want to think of 6 random video game characters, and the rule is only one of the 6 can be the cover character of the game. Cover character meaning the main character, not necessarily who's on the cover. Like if it was Far Cry 3, Voss is on the cover, but Jason Brody would be the cover character.
Okay.
So Sammy and I have each thought of 6 characters that are going to theoretically battle each other, and then we're going to move on, probably not talk about it ever again.
Well, it's one at a time. I'm gonna start as my presumably my worst character, and
Okay.
then slowly move up. So my first one, and I thought this is kind of an easy one. I decided to go with Faith from Mirror's Edge. I felt pretty good about her. She's
Mm,
nimble.
okay.
She can take down a guy in full body armor with 3 punches and physically kill him, which I thought was a very cool attribute to have. And I feel like I could use that on the battlefield with her. Absolutely. Mobile, agile.
They're
She's
fragile.
not fragile. The bones of her enemies are fragile.
Anybody who's ever played Dead Rising knows how much of a pain in the ass it is to learn how to play that game because your
Mm-hmm.
first 30 minutes you have to fight Carlito.
You chose Carlito.
And Carlito is a pain because you can't aim in that game, and this guy is one fast son of a gun. So I chose Carlito for my leadoff batter here because
That
the
is a
amount of
great
people I
pick.
know who have quit playing Dead Rising because of Carlito,
I was
I
one
feel
of
like he can do
those.
some damage.
That's a good. My next one is Cat from Star Fox 64. Now you guys,
Cat.
she is a
Oh,
cat that pops up once every like 2 episodes and just flirts with Falco and tries to slam him. And she slides in and she's like, "Guess you couldn't miss out on me, Falco." And she has a little song that goes da 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 da, and she just keeps shooting people. Falco gets visibly annoyed. I like the concept that she can just pop in out of anywhere and take someone out. I expect very, very big things from Kat, though she is an auxiliary character. I think she'll surprise a few people out on the battlefield.
okay, fair enough. All right, so I'm going to come in with a tank, my leadoff tank.
Okay.
He's a pretty well-known character, so it's not really as exciting, but I loved him throughout the entire series. He was one of my favorite characters, and I always chose him. Anytime someone needed help, I would pick him over everybody. Rex from Mass Effect. Love him to death.
Good pick.
Yep.
Strong pick.
And he's better than Grunt. Grunt was a lame character, or lame Krogan. Rex was better than him. Everyone knows that.
Rex is
But-
better. Rex is better than Grunt, but I'm not sure if I wouldn't say Grunt is lame. I think that's strong. He's a tank bred. He's only a year old. He has room to grow.
Get bent. All right,
My
cool.
next one is my grizzled vet. Is Bill from Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
So this man has 20/20 vision, eagle eye. He's constantly calling out pipe bomb over here, pills over here, med pack over here. He's able to heal himself. He's basically like a regular Soldier 76. He's actually Soldier 76 in the Valve universe now that I'm actually thinking about it. He can heal
Wow.
himself, he can sprint, he can shoot, and he's a grizzled old army vet. I'm actually just now realizing this and I'm in love with it.
Oh my god! All right, I'm coming in with my second tank in the number 3 spot. My third hitter, Captain Quirk from the Ratchet and Clank series. You know, you can never just have too much of him on screen. You're always mad
True.
when he's on screen, but you never want him to leave though at the same time.
Okay.
So, he doesn't do anything in the game either, except just really be annoying and make everything go wrong. But I have a feeling he could aggro some people and do a really good job as a tank.
Okay, I like that. I like that pick. It's strong. So, I'm bringing out one of my tanks. I decided. So, my next tank is the big ripped monster thing from Outlast. I do not know his name, but it's that giant ripped dude that chases you. He's not quick. He can maybe jog at close to 4 miles per hour because you're constantly outrunning him. He can easily be duped by hiding in a locker. But I think in a one-on-one battle, if you think you can just send out anyone against my big ripped guy, I wish I knew his name, but he physically can grab you and rip you in half. That's much more impressive than ripping a phone book in half. And I see big things coming out from big ripped monster from Outlast.
That's impressive. I just wish I wish I knew more about Outlast. Obviously, like I told you before, I've never played it. My girlfriend plays it for me so I can get the achievements. So because I'm too scared.
It's okay.
So-
Big ripped guy is a constant factor. You'll see him multiple times.
Okay, good to know. Well, she'll see him multiple times. Anyway,
Sure.
coming in for the cleanup spot is my favorite DPS on the team. I got Bonafide from NBA Street because that dude is going to train 3-pointers on your ass all night long. You're never going to be able to touch him. He's just going to be jumping around, putting him in that hoop.
It's cute that you think you have a good athlete, but I have the best athlete. I have Samson from the first Fusion Frenzy game. For
Get out
those
of
of
here.
you who don't know who Samson is, he is a guy that is consistently wearing a crop top, has on a hat you think is a backwards hat, but it's actually just a scarf tied around his head. He wears sunglasses in every single area, and he is a athlete, and that's what I love about him. He also has a sweet goatee in the second Fusion Frenzy when he makes an appearance.
I'm trying to find quotes of Bonafide just to rub it in your face, but that wasn't working. It was just Michael Jordan chatting at me. All right, sorry. It's number 5. I needed a healer.
Number
The
5.
Great Fairy from not Lord of the Rings, from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's gonna keep me alive.
Okay.
Suck.
That's smart. That's a good
Have fun
pick.
with your Soldier 76 wannabe healing your team.
Well, the best character on my team, and he can be really. He's very versatile. He can be really whatever you want him to be, both a tank, a healer, a DPS. He can do it all. The next character is my custom character from WWE 2K16.
Oh, come on. That's so cheap. You can't just say creative character.
If this man needs to choke you out, don't worry. I will make his forearms the size of watermelons. If he needs stronger shoulders, don't worry. He's got bowling balls for shoulders now. He needs a little bit of an afro to bring some flair. Easy. He can be whatever I want him to be. And I like my most recent creation. I'm going to probably use him as the example. Has one eye that is located a little bit above one of his eyebrows and another one that's sunk down into his cheekbone. I actually think of him now kind of as like a chameleon, so he can always see where you're coming from, and he can be adapted. I can shift his body and make the give him those chicken legs, even though he has bowling balls for shoulders and biceps.
You're the worst. All right, I'm finishing my team off with another DPS, and this is every team needs a wild card that you don't really know what they're gonna do.
Okay.
So I'm taking Pete Wheeler from the Backyard Sports.
Great
because
pick.
that guy, he can get to first faster than anybody I know.
Okay.
And if he knows how to face the plate the right way, he's gonna hit a home run. So that's just all. That's my team. Nothing really exciting. I don't really have any more to say about it. I didn't really put much thought into it.
I don't have many more inspiring facts about Pete Wheeler.
I don't really have anything else to say about him. He has a leather jacket. What do you want to know?
So we'll make. I'll assemble another team. This one kind of. I realized we morphed this into just having Overwatch classes, and I wasn't really ready for that. But next time I'm gonna come around, I'm gonna run the 2-2-2 comp, or who knows? Maybe I'll run 3 tanks. I don't know. We'll see what the meta is next time we roll around.
All right, sounds good. Okay. All right. The next, this isn't really a segment, but it's something I feel like we should have probably talked about a long time ago today. Is Sammy, what did you play this week?
That's a great question. I'm currently playing 2 things, and they're both kind of mammoths. So I'm playing Mass Effect 2, but I honestly play the trilogy like once every 2 months, just because I play Mass Effect just for the moments, and so I shot through 1. I'm about halfway through 2. I mean, I talk about that game too much, and it is what it is. I love that game so much. But the one I really like right now, I'm playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild right now, and that game is sensational. I love it. It's even though we were just talking about and kind of harping on open world games, it does a really good job of not overwhelming you in an open world. It's super pretty. The main quest is pretty captivating, especially for Nintendo games are kind of notorious for having fairly lame and kind of linear stories where just you play the protagonist and you go kill your final boss and save, I guess, your princess or whoever it is. This game has a pretty captivating story, at least on Zelda and Nintendo terms. The best thing about the game that I could really, really say is that you always are trying to outsmart the game. There's just little bitty things that happen here and there that you think, oh, I wonder if this will work. And sure enough, it works. Like a perfect example is like I had my bow drawn and I was going to shoot a bunch of dudes and I noticed there's some explosive barrels, but I just have a regular bow. So I was like, oh, what if I just dip this in the old fire? And sure enough, I dip it in the fire, it catches on fire, shoot the barrel, it explodes. And there's just cool little things that are in there. Like if you're in the middle of a lightning storm and you have anything metal equipped, you'll die and get struck by lightning because you have metal stuff equipped. So the game is really smart, and you feel like you spend a lot of the game trying to prove that you're smarter than it. But you're never smarter than it. Every single time you try something and you think, oh, well, this should work, it actually works. And then you get mad, but you're also really proud of yourself for thinking of that. I love this game. It's a mammoth. I'm probably about 25%
Oh
through.
wow.
But I'm trying to play like an hour, 2 hours a day. Um, and I'm playing it on Wii U, and I know some people
Okay.
play it on the Switch, but
Because they're
it
cooler
doesn't
than you.
really affect the experience. I mean, I just play it on like my Pro controller on a big TV, and I have no issues with it. But I really like this game. And once I'm done with it, and I can kind of sit down and digest all of it, then I'll be able to kind of get a full idea on how I really feel about it. Because a lot of people are anointing it one of the best games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
A little strong for me to say that, but granted, I'm 1/4 of the way through, so that remains to be seen. What
Fair
about you?
enough.
What are you playing?
I've got 4 games that I played this week.
Okay.
One of them, I don't know if I want to give my viewers a bad taste about me yet, so I'm not going to bring
Mm-hmm.
that one up.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know what that one is.
Catherine.
Okay, yep. That's it. That game is called Catherine, so I guess it's out in the open now. It's not what it looks like, though. If you've ever played it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't played it and you look at it, you think, oh, Nick's a weirdo. I am a weirdo, but the game is not what it appears on the surface of having a girl.
Specifically specifically all the box art.
Yes, the box art of a anime girl taking her shirt off does not reflect the game itself.
Sure.
Only part of it. And it's not
only little bits and pieces.
This is just a bad hole I'm digging myself into, so I'm just gonna move on from it. It got good ratings, okay? And it was on sale, so I bought it.
You don't have to look. You do not have to justify this to me. I was there when I heard you go through the pros and cons of buying this game.
I'm justifying it to our one viewer who's probably listening to this on week 1.
True. What else you got?
I 100% Red Dead Redemption. I finally
Cool.
finished doing that. Obviously Overwatch, and then another game I started playing last night, which I really like. It's called One Shot. It's on Steam. And I don't really know how to describe the game yet. It was recommended to me because I liked To the Moon, and it's a very interesting game. It's your computer becomes aware of you. So, like, to give you a point of reference about the game. So you're playing the game, and all of a sudden the game goes, "Isn't that right, Nick?" And there's at no point in the game do I enter my name. So it's like pulling information from your computer and using it in the game. And then at some point, you like find out like you're God. And the character becomes aware that there's a god named Nick controlling it, and it starts praying to you and like asking you questions. And so you find that at one point you get to this like lockbox, and it requires a password. And the computer in the lockbox starts talking to the character and says only Nick knows how to open this. So the character like starts to pray to you, and the lockbox says like you won't find the password in this game. And then you like ask the computer what it means, and it says somewhere in your computer is the password, and you end up finding out that the game saved a file in your documents folder that has the password in it.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah, so it's just this really bizarre game. I'm curious to see what else it has going on with it. And it's like I said, it's called One Shot, so I'm excited to see more of it. So that's been my week of gaming so far.
Cool. Yeah, if I wasn't knocking out 2 really big games right now, I'd probably try and spread myself out a little bit. I mean, I've been playing the usuals like Overwatch and GTA, but I pop those every single week, so
Sure.
and I would just be beating a dead horse, especially when we're talking Overwatch. Okay.
So our next segment, I've got segments I really want to push. I think there's plenty of other things we could talk about. But I can I'll run over the small things. I've got big things I want to talk about. I'll run over the small things really fast. Far Cry 5 teaser came out today.
Mm-hmm.
The official launch trailer will be on this Friday, May 26th. So that's pretty freaking exciting.
The setting is in America, right? In Montana?
Yep, that is correct. We had the Mid-Season Invitational for League of Legends, SKT1, which no surprise really to anybody. And I was going to mention the sale that we all just bought things on, but we'll talk about that later whenever we finally play those games and it's on our what have you been playing this week.
Yeah.
So my last segments, the first one is called Couple of the Week. And what this is Sammy and I each have to pick 2 characters from the video game world that would be a good couple. Sammy, would you like to start this one off?
So, uh, when you said couple, I probably should have taken that as a romantic couple. I did not. I kind of had been, I saw about 12 minutes of a Lethal Weapon recently, so I really had the idea of the buddy cop in my mind. So, picture this: grizzled vet, maybe years 19. I'm gonna say 87.
Okay.
Time constraints don't matter in this couple because they're jumping across universes. Um, so you have an old man. He's a grizzled vet. He's been through a lot. He's going through all the grass. He's chopping his way through bamboo shoots. He looks up. He gets a call in his ear. He goes, "This is Snake." Yeah, it's Solid Snake. So Solid Snake sitting there, and he's been around the block. He's seen a lot. He's done a lot of things. And he says, "What's our mission?" They tell him the mission is to go, I don't know, take out a Viet Cong encampment.
Okay.
Right as he says that, he hears in the side of his ear, out of his backpack has popped the young go-getter Kazooie from Banjo-Kazooie.
Yep, there he is.
Yep. I like this dynamic because I like the idea of the old grizzle vet getting too old for this. Solid Snake has been through too much, but Kazooie's gonna show him he's just a little bit more left to live for. She's coming right off her victory of defeating Grunty with her best friend Banjo, and her and Solid Snake had been exchanging 1987 emails and thought we both had the skill set to take down these Viet Cong, and I really like this couple together a lot. I think I see them succeeding in all missions thrown their way, and there may be some shenanigans involved, where maybe like Kazooie plays like a prank on Solid Snake and puts like whipped cream in his hand and tickles him with one of her feathers, and he smacks himself in the face. I see a really good buddy cop montage coming out of there.
All right, well, I'm going to say mine now, but after that. Now, this one, you got to bear with me for a second.
Okay.
Because one of them might be a minor, but I'm not sure. Okay?
Not strong start.
It's possible. Let's just imagine. I think they're 18 in the game, but I actually think they're 14. So just bear with me for a second. Let's pretend, it's 5 years in the future, and they are of age.
Okay.
The first one is Chloe from Life is Strange.
Okay.
Okay, how old is she?
Isn't she? Well, she's like 20. She's not.
They're
14.
in high school. They're in high school.
Oh, they are. But no, she's 19.
Max is
she's
the same
19.
age as her.
She's 19, I think.
But
no,
Max
she's older than. No, she's older than Max. She's a year older, isn't she?
I don't know about that.
I wonder if I can Google Chloe's age.
Well, okay. Well, we'll figure it out later. But for now, let's just say Chloe's age,
okay.
right? And she is going to date my boy Johnny Napalm from Guitar Hero, baby. I think that's a match made in heaven.
It's not bad.
Tell me they wouldn't be matched up together.
Damn. I don't. Okay, I could see it.
My other contender
Chloe's
was
19,
Punk
so
Rock Tracer. My other contender was Punk Rock Tracer.
Punk Rock Tracer is a really good pick.
But I felt like we talked about Overwatch too much today.
Yeah, exactly. True.
So Chloe is 19, so that works out. Happy ending for everybody.
Exactly. I don't know how. I think I see that. I see that working out.
Well, depending on the ending, I guess.
Well,
spoiler alert.
Well, yeah, true. That's but this could take place before Max shows up because she's still 19 at that point. I see only positives coming out of this relationship from a purely impressionable girl who obviously went down the wrong path because someone led her the wrong way. I see this only going positive.
Sure. My last segment I want to bring up is called 90-second gaming.
Okay.
Which is I have to pick a game that Sammy's never played and try to convince him to play it in 90 seconds. And if Sammy has one, vice versa.
Sure.
Okay.
And
so
I'll put you on the clock.
All right. So the game is Dark Sector, and when Sammy puts me on the clock, I'm going to start.
All right. You will be starting.
And when it hits 90, I can't say another thing about the damn game.
Okay. You ready?
All right. Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so Dark Sector is a game that I played maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, so I don't really remember much about it. But all I remember about it is that the game was it was super fun to play. I didn't care anything about the storyline. I didn't care anything about it at all. But the mechanics were just a freaking blast. So all I remember is that you start the game off on this island. There's like a virus going around that's turning humans into zombies, yada, yada, yada. Who really cares? But what matters is you get a gun and you get this thing called a glaive. Now, when you think of glaive, you think of like knives and swords, but no. This thing is like a frisbee except with knives on it, and it's kind of like Bioshock in that if you throw it at fire, it sets on fire, and it almost works as a vigor. Where if you throw it at fire and then it boomerangs through and hits a person, it slices the person in half and sets them on fire at the same time. It's really graphic, really fun. It's a blast to play. Like I would recommend to go read the IGN review on it because it literally hits it on the head of how I felt about the game. They gave it a 7.7, and the review basically said, "Fantastic gameplay, one of the most fun things I've ever done." But it has a really stupid storyline that no one cares about. You're never going to want to go replay it again, but you're going to have a blast the one time you do play it. And I think that just kind of summarizes everything. I think I am easily under 90 seconds here.
Oh yeah, you're good. You
But,
have
but
15 more seconds to
okay,
relish.
so that's really all I can say is you can chop people's arms off, heads off, and you can walk through with a shotgun to follow it up. It's just this really crazy, fun. Combat's really good. It's kind of like Gears of War combat where it's got the
time.
Okay.
I'll look into it.
All right, so Sammy, now it's your turn.
Okay.
You name the game, and when you name the game, I'm going to just start the clock.
Okay. The game is Killer Instinct for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. So basically, this is a fighting game. But the cast of characters is what truly brings it together. You can be a velociraptor. You can be a werewolf that has only a shirt on but no pants. You can be a man who's just made out of fire. You can be a robot called Fulgore. This game is basically Mortal Kombat right after Mortal Kombat, but it does everything Mortal Kombat did and made it even better. You have the fatalities or the fatality version, but you also have things called humiliations, where you'll do a humiliation, then someone will dance for a little bit, and then they fall over dead. I would say you can play it for about 2 hours, and you really get what you need out of it. But it's just beautiful. And don't worry, the Xbox version was free. And I'm not sure if you downloaded it, but the Xbox version is just as good. It's okay. It's phenomenal. You can be a guy. There's a guy who's just an Indian and can summon the power of thunder. The characters are so ridiculous and so beautiful. I could never think of him. There's Jago, who is just obviously like a Liu Kang ripoff, but that's okay. He has nunchucks instead of having his fists. And the story mode, there isn't really one. But that's okay. It's not, you're here to fight. You're not here to tell stories. How much time do I have left?
13 seconds.
It's really good. You should play it. And also it has a dope. Its main theme song has a sweet electric guitar riff that goes near 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 near. And I would say listen to that.
Time. Apparently 90 seconds is way too long.
Yeah, you're not gonna play Killer Instinct, are you?
No, that's the reason I didn't download it when it came out for free.
It's the super. You got to get the Super Nintendo version.
Sorry, man.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, well, that's all I had. Is that our show?
I would say that is our show. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's basically our show. We'll try and do this every week or at least every other week. We'll do, like I said, different games. We'll put the minutes up at the end of all this. So if you want to skip through certain spoilers and stuff like that, you're welcome to. We'll put a spoiler disclaimer on the thing. Nick, you have anything you want to plug?
No, I don't. Except don't judge me. Go play Catherine for yourself, and then judge yourself.
And don't judge me, and make sure you go play Killer Instinct and then learn the guitar solo. But that's it. Really, that was the first 3 notes, and that's not like me joking. That actually was the first 3 notes. So that's all we got. Once again, I'm Sammy, aka ciph, and we got...
I'm Nick, Lingling for Prez.
All right, you guys have a good day, and this was Game Menu brought to you by Couch Coop.